March 23, 1988. Henderson John Deere Dealership, Marshalltown, Iowa. Thursday morning, 10:15 a.m. Dealer Mike Henderson sat at his desk reviewing inventory. Farm crisis was ending. Sales were finally improving. Farmers were buying again after 5 brutal years. An old pickup truck pulled into the lot. 1976 Chevy, faded blue, rust along the fenders. Pulled a small trailer with a tractor on it. Mike watched from his office window. The tractor on the trailer was ancient. Green, not John Deere green. Oliver green. Looked like a 1952 Oliver 77, maybe older, covered in dirt and grease. A farmer got out of the truck, maybe 55 years old, wearing coveralls that had seen better days, work boots with mud caked on them. Walked into the showroom. Mike greeted him. "Morning. What can I do for you?" The farmer looked around the showroom, at the shiny new John Deere tractors, the 4060, the 4050, the latest models with cabs and air conditioning. "I need a tractor." Mike perked up. "First customer of the day. Great. What size are you looking for? What's your operation like?" "Farm about 600 acres, mostly corn and beans. Need something reliable for field work." Mike calculated. 600 acres needed decent horsepower. "I'd recommend the 4060, great tractor, 160 horsepower, cab, air, power shift, can handle 600 acres easily." "How much?" "Base model runs about 148,000. Fully loaded closer to 165. The farmer nodded. "That's what I figured. Too expensive. We have financing available. Rates are good right now, 8.5%. Could get you approved today." "Don't want financing. Want to pay cash." Mike's interest increased. Cash buyer was rare. "We have some used inventory. Could save you money. Got a nice 84 4050, 92,000. The farmer shook his head. "Still too much. I've got $4,500 to spend, that's it." Mike tried not to laugh. $4,500 for a tractor? That wouldn't even buy a good used lawnmower at a John Deere dealership. "Sir, $4,500 won't buy much here. Smallest used tractor I have is 38,000. You'd need to look at auction or private sale." "I know. That's why I brought this." The farmer pointed out the window at the Oliver on the trailer. Mike looked. "That old Oliver?" "Yep. 1952 Oliver 77. Hasn't run in 8 years. Sitting in my shed. I want to sell it to you. Use that money to buy a tractor." Mike walked outside with the farmer. Looked at the Oliver. It was rough. Tires flat. Paint faded. Rust everywhere. Engine seized probably. Transmission locked. Basically scrap. "Sir, I appreciate you thinking of us. But we're a John Deere dealership. We don't buy Olivers, especially not ones that haven't run in 8 years. How much is it worth?" Mike didn't want to insult him. "For scrap metal, maybe $300. $400 if you find the right buyer." The farmer looked disappointed. "That's what I figured. See, I need a tractor. Have $4,500 saved. Thought maybe the Oliver was worth something. Could combine that money to buy something better." Mike felt bad for him. The Oliver's not worth much. But $4,500 can buy you something at auction. Won't be new. Won't be fancy. But functional. "I know. I've been to auctions. Problem is, I want this Oliver." Mike was confused. "You want to keep the Oliver that doesn't run?" "No, I want to buy this Oliver." "But you already own it." "No, sir. This isn't my Oliver. This is my neighbor's Oliver. He died last year. His widow is selling the farm, auctioning everything next month. I saw this Oliver in his shed. I want it." "Why would you want a broken 40-year-old Oliver when you could buy something that actually runs?" The farmer smiled slightly. "Because I know this Oliver. My neighbor bought it new in '52. I was 12 years old, watched it get delivered, helped him drive it the first day. This tractor plowed every acre of his farm for 36 years. Never let him down, not once. But it's been sitting 8 years. It's probably seized up beyond repair. Maybe, maybe not. My neighbor had a stroke in '80. Couldn't farm anymore. Parked this Oliver in his shed. It ran perfect the day he parked it. Might just need fresh fluids and a battery. And if it doesn't, if it's seized up, then I'll rebuild it. I know how. I've rebuilt 3 tractors in my life. I can rebuild this one. Mike didn't understand. Sir, rebuilding that tractor will cost more than buying a running tractor at auction. Why waste the money? Because this isn't about money. This is about keeping my neighbor's legacy alive. Tom farmed with this Oliver for 36 years. Made every payment on his farm with crops planted and harvested by this tractor. Raised 4 kids on income generated by this Oliver's work. This tractor means something. Mike saw the emotion in the farmer's face. But business was business. I understand sentiment, but I can't help you. We don't deal in Olivers, don't have parts, don't have knowledge, can't service them. You'd be on your own. I know, that's fine. I just thought maybe you could tell me what it's worth, so I know how much to bid at the auction. I already told you, 300 to 400 for scrap. The farmer nodded sadly. That's what I was afraid of. See, Tom's widow needs money. She's selling everything to pay medical bills. The farm goes to another farmer for 600,000. The equipment goes to auction. If this Oliver only brings 400, that's all she gets for it. That's unfortunate. But it's an old tractor that hasn't run in 8 years. Market value is market value. I know. I just wished I could pay her more. She deserves more. Tom deserves more. This Oliver deserves more. The farmer started to leave. Mike called after him. What's your name? Robert Martinez. Robert, let me ask you something. If you could buy that Oliver, what would you do with it? Rebuild it. Use it on my farm. Honor my neighbor's memory by keeping his tractor working. And you have $4,500 to spend? That's right. Mike made a decision that surprised himself. Robert, I'll make you a deal. I'll buy that Oliver at the auction. Whatever it sells for, I'll pay it. Then I'll sell it to you for $4,500. Robert looked shocked. Why would you do that? Because your neighbor's widow deserves more than $400, and because that tractor deserves to keep working instead of getting scrapped. And honestly, because I'm tired of always being about profit. Sometimes it's okay to help someone. But what if it sells for more than $4,500? Then I'll eat the loss. That's my problem, not yours. Mr. Henderson, that's incredibly generous, but I can't let you lose money on my account. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing to do it. Deal or no deal. Robert hesitated, then extended his hand. Deal. Thank you. They shook. Mike wrote down the auction details. I'll be there. I'll buy it. Then you come here after and pay me $4,500. The Oliver is yours. Robert left. Mike watched him drive away. His sales manager walked over. What was that about? I just agreed to buy an old Oliver at auction and sell it to that farmer for $4,500. Why would you do that? We don't deal Olivers. Because sometimes you do the right thing even if it's not profitable. The sales manager shook his head. You're going soft in your old age. Maybe. But Mike felt good about the decision. Auction day arrived. April 16th, 88. Mike attended. The Oliver came up for bids. Auctioneer described it. 1952 Oliver 77, been sitting 8 years, unknown running condition, sold as is where is. Bidding started. Who'll give me 500? Silence. 300? One person raised their hand. Scrap buyer. 300 got 3, who'll give 4? Another bidder raised. Another scrap buyer. 400 got 4, who'll give 5? Mike raised his hand. 500? Got 5, who'll give 6? First scrap buyer raised again. 600, got 6, who'll give 7? Mike raised. 700, got 7, who'll give 8? Second scrap buyer raised. Mike kept bidding. 800, 900, 1,000, 1,200. Finally, at $1,400, the scrap buyers quit. Mike won. Sold for $1,400 to number 73. Mike paid. Got the title. Arranged transport to his dealership. Cost him another $150 for hauling. Total investment, $1,550. He'd agreed to sell it to Robert for $4,500. So Mike would actually make $2,950 profit. Not bad. But as he watched the Oliver being loaded onto the truck, Mike realized something. The tractor was in better shape than it looked. The tires held air when inflated. The sheet metal was solid under the dirt. The seat wasn't even cracked. Curiosity got Mike. What if it actually ran? Back at the dealership, Mike did something he'd never done. Tried to start a competitor's tractor. He put a battery in the Oliver, drained the old fuel, put in fresh gas, changed the oil, put in fresh coolant, checked the plugs. They were old but functional. Then he turned the key. The engine cranked. Slow, stiff, but it cranked. Cranked some more. Coughed, sputtered, caught. Ran rough for 10 seconds, then smoothed out. The Oliver was running. After 8 years of sitting, just needed fresh fluids. Mike sat in the seat, put it in gear, drove it around the parking lot. Everything worked. Clutch, transmission, brakes, hydraulics. The tractor was solid. His mechanic watched. "Boss, that thing runs pretty good for being 40 years old." Yeah, it does." Mike checked values. A running Oliver 77 in good condition was worth $8,000 to $12,000 depending on market. This one would bring 10 easy. Mike had bought it for $1,550, could sell it for $10,000. That was $84.50 profit. Or he could keep his word, sell it to Robert for $4,500, make $29.50. The choice was clear financially. Sell it for $10,000. Business was business. But Mike remembered Robert's face, the emotion talking about his neighbor, the desire to honor a legacy, the willingness to rebuild a tractor just to keep it working. Mike called Robert. "It's ready. Come get your Oliver." Robert arrived an hour later, saw the Oliver running. His face lit up. "It runs? You got it running?" "Just needed fluids and a battery, engine strong, transmission solid, everything works. It's a good tractor." Robert walked around it, ran his hand over the hood. Tom would be so happy seeing this run again. He loved this tractor. "I can tell. It was maintained well. Your neighbor took care of it." "He sure did. Tom treated equipment like family, changed oil religiously, greased every fitting, never pushed anything too hard. This Oliver was his pride." Robert handed Mike a cashier's check for $4,500. Mike took it, gave Robert the title. "It's yours. Take care of it." "I will. I'll treat it like Tom did. This tractor will work another 30 years if I maintain it right." Robert drove the Oliver onto his trailer, secured it, waved at Mike, drove away happy. Mike's sales manager walked over. "You're an idiot." "Oh, why?" "That Oliver's worth 10 grand running. You sold it for 4,500, lost 5,500 in profit." "I didn't lose anything. I bought it for 1550, sold it for 4,500, made 2950. You could have made 8450. Maybe, but I kept my word. Robert's happy. I made a profit. That's enough." The sales manager walked away, shaking his head. Mike didn't care. 2 weeks later, Robert came back to the dealership. Mike saw him park, wondered what was wrong. Robert walked in smiling. "Mr. Henderson, I need to talk to you about something." "Problem with the Oliver?" "No, it runs perfect. I've been using it all week. Plowed 40 acres, disked 30. Thing's a beast. But that's not why I'm here." "Okay, what's up?" "I want to buy a new tractor from you." Mike was surprised. "I thought you only had 4,500. "I did, but I've been thinking. You sold me that Oliver for 4,500 when you could have sold it for more. My mechanic friend said running Olivers go for 8,000 to 12,000. You could have kept it and made big profit. Instead, you kept your word. That's what honest people do." "Maybe, but it's rare, especially in business. You showed integrity. That matters to me. So I want to give you my business, all of it." "I appreciate that. But you said you needed a tractor and only had 4,500. Now you want to buy new?" "Let me explain. I've been farming 600 acres. My operation is profitable. I net about 90,000 annually. I save about 40,000 a year. I've been saving to buy land. Have 260,000 in the bank." Mike's eyes widened. "You have 260,000 saved?" "Yes, I was going to use it for land. But land's expensive right now. 800 to 1,000 per acre. I'd need 480 to 600,000 to buy 600 acres. I don't have enough yet." "So what changed?" "I realized something. Instead of waiting for land, I should invest in my current operation. Better equipment means higher yields. Higher yields mean more profit. More profit means saving faster for land. The Oliver showed me that. 40-year-old tractor still works great, but new equipment would work better. What are you thinking? I want a new 4060 tractor, fully loaded, and a new planter, the 16-row, and a new combine, the 9060. Mike calculated mentally. That was serious money. You're talking about $600,000 plus in equipment. I know. I have 260 saved. I'll put that down. Finance the rest. At current rates, I can handle the payments. Robert, that's a huge investment. I know, but I trust you. You showed integrity with the Oliver. I believe you'll treat me fair on this purchase. Will you? Mike nodded. Absolutely. Let me work up numbers. They spent 3 hours going through options, configurations, pricing, financing. Final total, $642,000. Down payment, $260,000. Financed, $382,000. Terms, 10 years at 9%. Monthly payment, $4,800. Robert could afford it. His $90,000 net income covered payments plus operations plus living expenses. He signed, bought $642,000 in equipment. Biggest sale Mike had made in 3 years. As Robert left, Mike's sales manager approached. You just made a $642,000 sale from a guy who came in 2 weeks ago wanting to spend $4,500. How? I sold him an Oliver for less than market value, showed him integrity. He rewarded that with his business. So you lost $5,500 on the Oliver to make, what's your commission on 642? $38,500. So you made $33,000 net by sacrificing $5,500. That's 6-to-1 return on integrity. Mike smiled. Integrity pays. Not always immediately, but eventually. The story spread through farming community. Henderson sold a guy an Oliver for $4,500 when it was worth $10,000. Guy came back and spent $642,000 on John Deere equipment. That's integrity rewarded. Other farmers took notice. Started buying from Mike, not because he had better prices, because they trusted him. Integrity mattered. Mike's sales increased, not immediately, but steadily, month by month, quarter by quarter. By end of '88, Mike's dealership sales were up 38% versus '87. In a year when most dealers grew 15%, 1989 brought more growth, up 42%. Mike became top dealer in the region. 1990 continued the trend, up 36%. Mike's reputation for integrity drove customers from 3 counties. By '92, Mike's dealership was largest in 5-county area. Annual revenue exceeded $8 million. Employment grew from 6 to 19. All because Mike chose integrity over profit on a $1,500 Oliver. Robert became Mike's best customer. Over 10 years bought over $1.2 million in equipment. All from Mike. Never shopped other dealers. Why do you only buy from me? Mike asked once. Because of the Oliver. You could have cheated me. Could have sold it for $10,000 and made more. Instead, you kept your word even though it cost you profit. That told me who you are. I've never forgotten. In 2000, Robert achieved his dream. Bought the farm next to his. 600 acres for $780,000. Paid cash. Saved for 12 years to buy it. Now own 1,200 acres. Debt-free. All equipment paid off. Net worth over $3 million. The Oliver started this, Robert told Mike. That tractor taught me 2 lessons. First, old doesn't mean worthless. Second, integrity creates relationships that matter more than money. In 2004, Robert came to Mike's dealership. I want to show you something. He pulled up on a trailer, the Oliver. 16 years after Mike sold it to him, still running, still working. I use it for light work now, have newer equipment for heavy stuff. But the Oliver still pulls wagons. Still does field finishing, still runs like new, 100,000 hours probably, never major breakdown, just maintenance. Mike looked at it. You've taken good care of it. Told you I would. Tom's legacy lives on through this tractor, and your integrity lives on through our relationship. This Oliver represents both. They stood there, two men looking at a 52-year-old tractor, both understanding it meant more than metal and mechanics. In 2008, Mike retired, sold his dealership. At his retirement party, he told the Oliver story. Biggest lesson of my career came from a $1,500 Oliver. I bought it at auction to help a customer. Could have resold it for $10,000. Instead, sold it for $4,500 as promised. Lost $5,500 in profit. That customer came back 2 weeks later, spent $642,000. My commission was $38,500. Net gain of $33,000 from choosing integrity over profit. But that's not the real lesson. The real lesson is that customer bought from me exclusively for 20 years, over $1.2 million total, all because I kept my word on a $1,500 tractor. Integrity isn't expensive, it's profitable, not immediately. But over time, integrity builds relationships that generate far more than short-term profits. I could have made $5,500 more on the Oliver. Instead, I made over $1.2 million by keeping my word. 6-to-1 return on day one, 200-to-1 over 20 years. That's the power of integrity. That's what the Oliver taught me. Standing ovation. Everyone there knew Robert, knew the Oliver, knew the story. The lesson resonated. Robert attended the party. When Mike finished speaking, Robert stood. Mike Henderson didn't have to keep his word. He bought the Oliver for $1,550, discovered it was worth $10,000, had every right to sell it for market value. Instead, he sold it to me for $4,500 as promised. That act of integrity changed my life. Not just because I got the Oliver cheap, because I found someone I could trust. In 20 years of business, I never wondered if Mike was being honest, never questioned if he was charging fair prices, never worried about being cheated. Why? Because of the Oliver. That tractor sits in my shed today, still runs, still works, still reminds me that integrity matters more than profit. Mike taught me that. I've never forgotten. Another standing ovation. The Oliver story had become legend. In 2009, Robert retired, sold his 1,200 acres for $2.4 million, kept the Oliver. Why keep it? His son asked. Because it's not just a tractor, it's a reminder. When Tom bought it in '52, it was the best technology available. Served him 36 years. When Mike sold it to me in '88, it was obsolete, but still valuable. Served me 21 years. Now it's ancient, but still meaningful. This tractor represents integrity. Tom's integrity maintaining it. Mike's integrity selling it fairly. My integrity keeping it working. That's worth more than any tractor's market value. That's why we keep it. The Oliver sits in the family shed today. 72 years old. Still runs. Started monthly. Driven around the property. Maintained perfectly. A plaque on the shed wall tells the story. 1952, Oliver 77. Owned by Tom Henderson, 1952-1980. Sat idle, 1980-1988. Bought by Mike Henderson for $1,550 at auction. Sold to Robert Martinez for $4,500 when worth $10,000. Sparked $1.2 million in business over 20 years. Proof that integrity pays. The dealer thought the farmer was crazy wanting an old Oliver instead of new John Deere. The dealer laughed, then got shocked when that decision generated over $1 million in sales. The Oliver wasn't valuable as equipment, was valuable as integrity test. Mike passed. Robert rewarded him. Both won. That's the power of keeping your word even when it costs you profit. That's what happened when a farmer wanted an old Oliver and the dealer chose integrity over money. The dealer laughed, then got shocked, then got rich. All because he honored a $1,500 promise on a 40-year-old tractor. Integrity pays. Not always immediately, but always eventually. The Oliver proved it. Mike lived it. Robert rewarded it. The end. The backstory. Tom Henderson and his Oliver. To understand why Robert wanted that specific Oliver, you need to know Tom Henderson's story. Tom bought the Oliver 77 brand new in April 1952. He was 32 years old. Just bought his first farm. 240 acres for $48,000. The Oliver cost $4,200 new. Huge investment for a young farmer. Tom's father thought he was crazy. You can't afford a new tractor. Buy used. Dad, I'm going to farm this land for 40 years. I want equipment that'll last. New tractor means reliability. Reliability means I can work when I need to. That's worth the money. Tom was right. The Oliver ran flawlessly for 36 years. Tom maintained it religiously, changed oil every 50 hours, greased every fitting every 20 hours. Never pushed it too hard, never skipped maintenance. The Oliver plowed every acre Tom farmed from 1952 through 1980, planted every crop, pulled every wagon. In 36 years, the Oliver had exactly 2 breakdowns, broken belt in 63, bad starter in 74, both fixed same day. Tom's neighbors upgraded equipment regularly, bought new tractors every 10 years. Tom kept the Oliver. Why replace something that works perfectly? By 1980, the Oliver had approximately 23,000 hours. Most tractors were dead by 15,000. The Oliver kept running because Tom took care of it. Then in March '80, Tom had a stroke, age 60, paralyzed his right side, could no longer farm. His wife Helen didn't know farming. Their 4 kids had moved away. None wanted to farm. Tom had to quit. The last day Tom farmed, he drove the Oliver to the shed, parked it carefully, got down slowly, patted the hood. Thanks for 36 years. You never let me down. I wish I could keep going, but I can't. He walked away crying. The Oliver sat in that shed for 8 years. Tom died in January '88. Heart attack, age 67. Helen needed to sell everything. Medical bills from Tom's stroke and final illness totaled over $90,000. She had to liquidate the farm to pay them. The land sold to a neighbor for $600,000. Helen netted $550 after costs. The equipment went to auction. Whatever it brought was what she'd get. Robert Martinez lived next door, had watched Tom farm with that Oliver for 36 years, had borrowed it twice when his equipment broke, had helped Tom maintain it several times. When Robert saw the Oliver in Tom's shed during the estate inventory, emotion hit him. This wasn't just a tractor. This was Tom's partner for 36 years. This machine had fed Tom's family, put his kids through college, built his legacy. Robert couldn't let it go to scrap. Had to save it, had to keep it working, had to honor Tom's memory. That's why he approached Mike Henderson, not just to buy a tractor, to save a legacy. The auction, more than equipment being sold. The Henderson estate auction attracted 200 people. Tom had been well known, respected farmer, good neighbor. Everyone came to pay respects and maybe buy something. Helen Henderson sat in a chair watching. 72 years old, watching 40 years of her husband's work get sold piece by piece. The auctioneer started with small items, tools, hand implements, sold quickly, then equipment, Tom's plow, his disc, his planter, all old, all sold for scrap prices, then the Oliver. The auctioneer described it fairly. 1952, Oliver 77, been sitting 8 years, unknown running condition. Last owner was meticulous with maintenance. This tractor worked this farm for 36 years without major failure, sold as is where is. Bidding started slow. 300 from a scrap buyer, 400 from another. Mike Henderson entered at 500, back and forth, 6, 7, 800. Each bid hurt Helen, her husband's pride and joy selling for scrap prices. Mike kept bidding. He saw Helen's tears, knew this was more than just equipment to her, kept pushing until the scrap buyers quit at 1,400. When Mike won, he walked over to Helen. "Mrs. Henderson, I bought your husband's tractor. I'm selling it to your neighbor, Robert Martinez. He's going to restore it and use it. Keep it working like Tom did. I thought you should know it's going to a good home." Helen started crying. "Thank you. Tom loved that tractor. He'd be happy knowing it'll keep working instead of getting scrapped. Tom took good care of it. That's why I was willing to pay more. Quality equipment deserves respect." Helen hugged Mike. "You're a good man." That moment cemented Mike's decision. He'd keep his word to Robert no matter what the Oliver was worth. The discovery. When Mike found the truth after Mike got the Oliver running, he was curious. How much was it actually worth? He called a friend who dealt in antique tractors. Got a 1952 Oliver 77, runs, good condition. What's market value? Running, good condition, 8 to 12,000 depending on originality and hours. This one's all original, 23,000 hours. One owner who maintained it meticulously. That's low hours for a 72-year-old tractor, and single owner with maintenance records adds value. I'd say 10 to 11,000 easy, maybe 12 to the right buyer. Mike thanked him and hung up. He'd paid $1,550. The Oliver was worth 10 to 12,000. He could make 8,500 to 10,500 profit, or he could keep his word. Sell it to Robert for 4,500. Make 29.50. Mike's sales manager argued. Sell it for 10 grand. That's 7,000 more profit. Robert will understand. Business is business. I gave my word. 4,500. That's the price. You're leaving 7,000 on the table. I'm keeping my integrity intact. That's worth more than 7,000. The sales manager didn't get it. But Mike knew. His father had taught him. Your word is your bond. Keep it always, even when it costs you. Mike kept his word. Sold the Oliver to Robert for 4,500. Lost 7,000 in potential profit. Gained something more valuable. Robert's complete trust. The big sale. $642,000. When Robert came back 2 weeks later wanting to buy $642,000 in equipment, Mike was shocked. They spent 3 hours configuring everything. Robert knew exactly what he wanted. He'd been planning this for months. Just needed to find the right dealer. The 4060 tractor, $165,000, fully loaded. Cab, air, power shift, duals, weights, top spec. The 16-row planter, $182,000, liquid fertilizer, row sensors, GPS ready, premium. The 9060 combine, $295,000, grain head and corn head, latest technology, best available. Total, $642,000. Down payment, $260,000 cash. Financed, $382,000 over 10 years at 9%. Monthly payment, $4,820. Robert's annual net income, $90,000. After payment, $42,200 remaining. Tight but doable. Robert had run the numbers 100 times. Mike's commission, 6% of sale price, $38,520. Mike spent 2 days verifying Robert's finances. Bank statements showing $260,000 saved. Tax returns showing $90,000 annual net. Credit report showing perfect score. Everything checked. Robert was legitimate. This wasn't fantasy. He actually had the money and income to support this purchase. They signed papers on May 3rd, '88. Robert wrote check for down payment, signed financing documents, became owner of $642,000 in new equipment. Delivery took 3 weeks. All 3 machines arrived together. Robert's farm transformed overnight. From modest operation with old equipment to modern commercial agriculture with latest technology. Neighbors noticed. Robert bought how much in new equipment? Where'd he get that kind of money? Robert told anyone who asked. Saved for 12 years. Lived cheap. Put away $40,000 annually. Got to $260 in the bank. Finally decided to invest in my operation instead of just saving for land. Mike Henderson treated me right on the Oliver. I trusted him with this purchase. The Oliver story spread. Mike sold Robert an Oliver for $4,500 when it was worth 10 grand. Robert came back and spent $642,000. That's integrity paying off. The ripple effect, how one sale changed everything. Robert's $642,000 purchase did more than generate commission for Mike. It changed how Mike approached every customer. Before the Oliver, Mike's philosophy was, maximize profit on every deal, get every dollar you can. Business is business. After the Oliver, Mike's philosophy became, treat every customer with integrity, fair prices, honest communication. Long-term relationships matter more than short-term profits. This shift manifested in specific ways. Change 1. Mike stopped pushing expensive add-ons customers didn't need. If farmer needed basic 4060, Mike sold basic 4060. Didn't upsell unnecessary features. Change 2. Mike started offering fair trade-in values. Before Oliver, he lowballed trade-ins to maximize profit. After Oliver, he gave honest values. Farmers noticed. Change 3. Mike stopped using high-pressure sales tactics. No more deal expires today or limited time offer. Just honest conversation about what customer needed. Change 4. Mike became transparent about costs, showed farmers actual invoice prices, explained margins. Customers appreciated honesty. These changes cost Mike profit short-term. His margins dropped from 18% average to 12%. On individual deals, he made less. But long-term, he made more. Way more. Word spread. Henderson Dealership treats you fair. No games, no pressure. Honest prices. Great service. Farmers started driving from 3 counties away, passing closer dealerships to buy from Mike. Why? Trust. Sales volume increased. Mike's lower margins were offset by higher volume. By end of '88, total profit was up despite lower per-unit margins. '89 brought more growth. Revenue up 42%. '90 brought another 36% growth. Mike became regional leader in sales. By '92, Mike's dealership was doing $8 million annually, employed 19 people, serviced over 350 regular customers, all because Mike chose integrity over profit on a $1,500 Oliver. The competition. Other dealers noticed Mike's success didn't go unnoticed. Competing dealers saw his growth and tried to copy his model. Competitor 1, Stevens John Deere in Waterloo, tried to match Mike's pricing, lowered margins to 12%, increased transparency. But they'd built reputation for aggressive sales tactics. Farmers didn't trust them. Lower prices didn't overcome trust deficit. Sales actually declined. They abandoned the strategy after 6 months. Competitor 2, Morrison Equipment in Cedar Falls, tried to copy Mike's customer service approach, trained staff on relationship building, but it felt forced, artificial. Customers could tell it was act, not genuine care. Didn't work. Competitor 3, Patterson Implements in Mason City, actually succeeded, adopted Integrity First model authentically. Dealer had always been fairly honest, but formalized the approach after seeing Mike's success, grew steadily, became Mike's only real regional competition. Both dealers respected each other. The difference between success and failure in copying Mike's model came down to authenticity. Mike genuinely cared about doing right by customers. Others who succeeded genuinely cared. Those who faked it failed. You can't fake integrity. Customers know. They always know. The customers. Stories of people. Mike helped. Robert wasn't Mike's only customer who benefited from his integrity-first approach. Many others had stories. Customer 2, James Peterson, young farmer, age 26, starting out in '92. Came to Mike wanting to buy equipment, had $15,000 down payment. Terrible credit from student loans. Most dealers would have rejected him. Can't get financing approved with bad credit. Not worth the time. Mike spent 3 hours with James, reviewed his business plan, looked at his farm operation, saw potential, called bank personally, vouched for James, got him approved. James bought $38,000 in equipment, paid it off in 6 years, became successful farmer, bought exclusively from Mike for 20 years, total purchases over $400,000. Mike's 3 hours helping a risky customer generated $400,000 in lifetime sales. Customer 3, Sarah Thompson, widow. Husband died in tractor accident '94. Left her with farm but no knowledge. Most dealers would have taken advantage. Sold her expensive, unnecessary equipment. Mike helped her understand what she actually needed. Didn't oversell. Helped her hire a good farm manager. Provided guidance for free. Sarah appreciated honesty. When she sold the farm in '98, she sent every buyer to Mike's dealership. 8 of 12 buyers purchased from Mike. Total, $920,000 in sales. Mike's integrity with one widow generated nearly $1 million in indirect sales. Customer 4, Rodriguez family, immigrant farmers, limited English. Most dealers wouldn't deal with them. Language barrier too difficult, not worth the effort. Mike hired translator, spent extra time explaining everything, made sure they understood completely before signing anything, treated them with respect and dignity. Rodriguez family became loyal customers. Bought from Mike for 15 years. Total purchases, $340,000. Referred 7 other immigrant families. Combined purchases, over $600,000. Mike's willingness to help language barrier customers generated nearly $1 million in total sales. These stories repeated. Mike's integrity created relationships. Relationships generated referrals. Referrals generated sales. Sales generated profit. The numbers, how integrity became profitable. Complete financial analysis of Mike's integrity-first approach. Before Oliver, 1983-1987. Average annual revenue, $4,200,000 average margin, 18% average annual profit, $756,000 customer retention, 42% after 5 years. Referral rate, 8% of customers referred others after Oliver, 1988-2000. Average annual revenue, $6,800,000 average margin, 12% average annual profit, $816,000 customer retention, 78% after 5 years. Referral rate, 34% of customers referred others, lower margins. Higher profit. How? Volume. Mike sold more units at lower margins. Total profit increased despite per unit profit decreasing. Retention. Customers stayed longer. Repeat business reduced customer acquisition costs. Referrals. Satisfied customers sent others. Free marketing. Higher quality leads. The math worked. Integrity was profitable. Specific ROI on Oliver decision. Cost, $7,700 in foregone profit. Could have sold for $10,000, sold for $4,500. Direct return, $38,500 commission on Robert's $642,000 purchase. Indirect return, Robert's lifetime purchases $1.2 million. Commission approximately $72,000 referrals from Robert. Estimated 8 customers. Combined purchases $600,000. Commission approximately $36,000. Total return on Oliver decision $146,500 over 20 years. Investment $7,700 in foregone profit. ROI 19-1 over 20 years. Integrity paid. Literally. The retirement, passing the torch. When Mike retired in 2008, he sold his dealership to his son for $3.2 million. Fair price, market value. His son asked about the Oliver philosophy. Dad, should I continue the integrity-first approach or maximize profits? Mike's answer, that's your decision, but let me show you something. He pulled out financial records, showed the before and after numbers, the growth, the retention, the referrals, the profitability. Integrity made this dealership worth $3.2 million. When I bought it in '79, I paid $900,000. That's 3.5-to-1 growth over 29 years. Average dealership grows 2-to-1 over same period. Our extra growth came from integrity-first model. That model generated approximately $1.2 million in extra value. The Oliver decision cost me $7,700 in foregone profit. Generated $1.2 million in business value. That's 156-to-1 return. So my advice, continue the integrity approach. It's not just right morally. It's right financially. The son continued the model. Dealership continues growing. Still treats customers with integrity. Still values relationships over transactions. The Oliver philosophy lives on. Robert's success. The other side of the story. Robert's side of the story is equally remarkable. The $642,000 equipment purchase in '88 transformed his operation. Yields increased. Before new equipment, corn averaged 140 bushels per acre. Beans averaged 42. After new equipment, corn averaged 165 bushels per acre. Beans averaged 49. The difference, 25 bushels per acre on corn, 7 bushels on beans. On 600 acres, 300 each crop. Extra corn, 7,500 bushels at $3 equals 22,500 extra beans. 2,100 bushels at $7 equals $14,700. Total annual increase. $37,200 Robert's equipment payment. $4,800 monthly equals $57,600 annually. Net cost after yield increase. $20,400 annually. That $20,000. Bought him cutting-edge technology, reliability, and efficiency. Worth it. But the real value showed up in '92 when drought hit Iowa. Robert's modern equipment with precision planting and better technology yielded 30% better than neighbors with older equipment. That year, Robert netted $84,000, while neighbors with similar acreage netted $40,000. The $44,000 difference paid for his equipment premium many times over. By 2000, Robert paid off all equipment, owned everything free and clear, saved aggressively. 2000, he bought 600 adjacent acres for $780,000, paid cash, result of 12 years of disciplined saving. By 2009 retirement, Robert owned land, 1,200 acres, worth $2.4 million equipment, paid off, worth $400,000 savings, $600,000 total net worth, $3.4 million. Started with 600 acres in '88, retired with 1,200 acres and over $3 million net worth 21 years later. The Oliver taught him to value integrity. Mike's integrity earned Robert's loyalty. That loyalty led to Robert buying equipment that increased his yields, efficiency, and profitability. That profitability generated wealth. Full circle. Everyone won. The Oliver. Today, still running, still teaching. Robert's son farms the 1,200 acres now. The Oliver sits in the main shed. Maintained perfectly. Started monthly. Driven occasionally. Local school groups tour the farm. See the Oliver. Hear the story. The farmer's son tells it every time. This Oliver was bought new in 1952 by our neighbor Tom. He farmed with it for 36 years. When he died, it went to auction. Would have sold for scrap. $400. My dad wanted to honor Tom's memory. Went to John Deere dealer Mike Henderson. Asked him to buy it at auction and sell it to my dad for $4,500. Mike bought it for $1,550. Found out it was worth 10 grand running. Could have kept it or sold it for big profit. Instead, kept his word. Sold it to my dad for $4,500 as promised. Lost $7,700 in potential profit. Dad was so impressed with Mike's integrity that he went back 2 weeks later and bought $642,000 in new equipment. Mike's commission was $38,000. His $7,700 sacrifice generated $38,000 immediate return. 5-to-1 ROI. Over 20 years, Dad bought over $1.2 million from Mike. Commission was $72,000. Plus, referrals generated another $36,000. Total return, $146,000 from a $7,700 sacrifice. 19-to-1 ROI. That's the power of integrity. It pays, not always immediately, but always eventually. This Oliver proves it. Students take notes. Business classes use the story in ethics discussions. The Oliver has taught thousands about integrity through this story. The final truth, what the Oliver really taught. The 1952 Oliver 77 taught multiple lessons to multiple people. Tom learned, take care of equipment and it takes care of you. 36 years of perfect service from one tractor because he maintained it properly. Mike learned, integrity generates long-term profits better than short-term maximization. $7,700 sacrifice generated $146,000 return. Robert learned, trust is earned through actions, not words. Mike's actions with the Oliver earned Robert's complete trust and loyalty. The community learned, relationships matter more than transactions. Mike's relationship-first approach built dominant dealership. The market learned, integrity wins. Mike's competitors who faked integrity failed. Those who genuinely practiced it succeeded. The next generation learned, old lessons still work. Integrity, honesty, relationship building aren't outdated. They're timeless. The Oliver itself taught, value isn't always about market price. That tractor was worth $400 as scrap, $10,000 running, but generated $146,000 in business value through the relationships it created. True value often hides beneath surface value. Look deeper. Think longer term. Value relationships over transactions. That's what a 72-year-old tractor taught. That's why the story matters. That's why the Oliver still runs today. Not because it's mechanically valuable, because it's philosophically priceless. The dealer laughed when the farmer wanted an old Oliver, then got shocked when that Oliver generated over $1 million in business. The laugh turned to amazement. The amazement turned to respect. The respect turned to success. All because Mike Henderson chose integrity over profit on a $1,500 tractor. The Oliver still runs. The lesson still teaches. The integrity still pays. That's the power of keeping your word. That's what happens when you value relationships over money. That's the Oliver 77 legacy. 72 years old, still running, still teaching, still proving that integrity wins. Always.